adventure therapy. And so this activity, and actually let me share again. So Amanda, you can see, I don't know if you were able to see the map. So you can see where, there we are. There we are. And so you're up there in the Liverpool area. I can imagine a little thing, a little mark for you. Um, so this is a type of activity I would do with people, anything that's like kind of experiential, and rather than just going around a room and saying, here's where I'm from, here's where I'm from. Sometimes, and I don't know that we have time for this as it's a quick session today, but sometimes I'll even have people like, okay, take 60 seconds and go around your room or wherever you are and find one thing that's meaningful to you that relates to travel or adventure, right? And so we would then have time to share. So I think we don't have time to share today, but you can see where everybody is. And so we can imagine ourselves crossing the ocean. And also, if I zoom in, you can see where Cyprus is, which is where my next trip is. So love, can't wait to check out Cyprus. And you can see Morocco over here, where my last trip with Traverse was. But I'll stop sharing now, and I'm going to share instead some slides. I promise I don't have too many slides because I wanted this to be experiential, but I did want to also give people a sense of, um, some of the details of adventure therapy. So let me pull up my slides here. I just have a couple. All right. So let me pause and just point out the title of this, Adventure Therapy, Harnessing the Power of Kinesthetic Learning. So I'm a psychotherapist, and I'm specifically trained in a couple different modalities in addition to doing traditional talk therapy. So I do somatic experiencing or somatic therapy, which really brings the body into the practice. And also I'm a certified clinical adventure therapist, which means that I also use, usually it is the outdoors, and often for me it's hiking. But I use that modality to expand someone's, the questions we're asking, the learning, etc., so that it really just deepens the therapeutic process. The picture that you see here is actually from one of my hikes. I am a long haul backpacker, so I'm about halfway through section hiking the Appalachian Trail. So I'm coming up this weekend. I'll be at about 1,000 miles. So this is a picture from one of my trips. Um, so in terms of like adventure therapy in brief, okay, so kinesthetic is like you experience it by doing. Your body gets to experience it. So it really is about experiential learning. When we talk about kinesthetic, you may have heard before that like someone will say, "Oh, I'm a visual learner. Oh, I'm an auditory learner." Some people need a combination. But kinesthetic learning is about the body. So you can use auditory, you can use visual. So for me, nature is and that visual is really calming, soothing to my system. For many people, it is, not for everyone. Adventure therapy can be done inside, outside, anywhere, but the point is this idea of experiential learning. And so for example, I just mentioned that I am a backpacker, but I didn't just like go out one day and start backpacking. I was a hiker, and then I was like, well, I'll sign up for a trip where it was we were hiking in North Carolina, and I'll like watch what they're doing and I'll learn how to like filter my water and cook my food and all that stuff. So I experientially wanted to learn how to do this thing. And so that's a lot of what adventure therapy is about. Um, and so rather than like reading about something, I'm like learning by doing. So actually thought we could, this may feel really silly, but I'm going to try it and we're going to see how we do. We're going to do a little bit of like adventure Simon Says. So how this works is we're just going to do this for like 2 minutes. So I'm going to say, do Simon Says. I'm going to say what to do. And then we're going to do it with gestures. Okay. So Simon says, climb the mountain, right? And this is like rock climbing or something, right? Okay. Simon says, celebrate at the summit. Okay. And I don't know about you, but just doing that really quick thing, I noticed myself smiling. I noticed some heat in my chest. You can't see, but I'm putting my hand here. I noticed some heat in my chest, but like a like really positive feeling heat, like a warmth, like I could see all of your faces and I felt like I could connect with you and almost like we were celebrating together, even though we saw the distance between many of us. Um, and so that's just like a really quick, sort of silly thing to feel what it feels like. I'm curious, and if anybody wants to share, um, like what did you experience when, particularly with the celebrating, because I noticed more in my body around that. Does anybody feel like they want to share what they noticed in their own body or their own experience of that?
I feel for me, it also made me put myself visually in that situation.
Hmm.
So I kind of like picture myself in a place, and then now that I'm reflecting on it, I'm even thinking like, wow, I wish, like I'm already thinking what that place would look like where I'm celebrating or even
Hmm.
rock climbing or yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like creative, imaginative, I would say.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Sophie. Would anyone else care to share? Julie, I saw you come off
Yeah,
mute.
I was just thinking the times that I've summited, I'm usually like, "Okay, good, finally, it's over, whatever." But
So Julie,
I think that's neat to add that as a celebration instead of just like "I did it.
yeah.
Now I gotta go down."
Julie, I don't know if you've seen, but there are lots of Instagram memes about like best part of the hike, and it shows the person walking back to their car, like how excited you are to get to your car after a hike. Yeah. Um, and actually, Sophie, to your point, we are hopefully, if we have time towards the end of our time together today, going to do that like visualization. It's amazing how helpful visualization can be and how like really there we can feel with it. So we're going to try something. Okay, experiential learning, safe risk taking. Most people that would go on a backpacking or hiking outing probably have a sense of, I think I'll like this and I would want to do it, right? But within adventure therapy, we encourage like just to push a little notch beyond. It's always challenged by choice, however. So it's always, we encourage and we support risk taking, but it's always the person's choice whether they do or do not engage, because either way, there's learning from it. What did it feel like to do it? What did it feel like to choose not to do it? For some people, the choosing not to do something is just as important, maybe, as choosing to do it. So there's like, it's not as much about the outcome as it is about the process. And I do want to say, although I'm an adventure therapist, when I lead trips with Traverse, it's not therapy. So I don't want anyone to feel like you're going to go on this amazing vacation and it's going to be like having therapy. Really, I would switch the words around and call it therapeutic adventure, just like really bringing in the idea that hiking, nature, challenge, all these things are and can be therapeutic in and of themselves. Um, and then fostering self-efficacy. So yeah, just like that feeling of celebrating at the summit, knowing like I just did a hard thing, um, can really just deepen an experience. Um, so when we think about, there's so many reasons why people want to do adventure therapy. Um, for some people, it's a physical activity. I know for myself, I need nature and I need to move every day, basically every day. And so you get the benefits of course, moving. So, all the health benefits you might have read about before, like, lower blood pressure and just generally physical well-being. But adventure therapy and therapeutic adventure also focus on the group dynamics. So a lot of times we'll be doing things together where the group will take over and the group will take the lead, and there'll be something challenging to do that requires sort of teamwork and communication and collaboration. And so that is adventure therapy can be done one-on-one, but often it's thought about in a group setting. And so it does emphasize that part as well. My experience in taking a group of people to Morocco this year was wow, the group was really close by the end. And it was a group of, I think the youngest person was 29 and the oldest was 72 or 73. So despite the age range, and we have all also kept in touch, which has been amazing as well. So really sort of helps to kind of transcend that, feeling of I don't really know these people and now I'm going on vacation with them. Um, and then the third thing here is just this idea of healing in nature, which there's been a lot of studies about the healing impacts of nature. Just even like having a green space or a plant in like someone's apartment can, have almost as much benefit as, or like if sort of being out in the woods is not possible, can also have benefit. Okay. And then, I don't think I need to go into this in great detail, but adventure therapy can be a lot of different things. I do hiking, as I mentioned, but some people do rock climbing or ropes courses or canoeing, or, like I said, it can be done in an office as well. But the idea is this, challenge by choice can help people to build confidence and also resilience. And again, it's, I mentioned before, it's process over outcome. So like we talked about learn by doing, and I think that's probably pretty self-explanatory. So if you want to learn to hike, go hiking. Maybe with someone who knows how to do it and can teach you a thing or two about it. But you might also be wondering, like, what the heck does this have to do with adventure trips around the world? Like, what would it have to do with going on Allison's trip to Cyprus in April next year? And so I'll give an example, again, another personal one. Um, Back to backpacking for me. I used to always make sure when I backpacked. So along the Appalachian Trail, there are these three-sided shelters. So they're open air, but you can sleep in there. Usually there are people around. The trail's, relatively busy. There's a lot of people hiking. But there have been times where I ended up alone and I had like a fear of sleeping alone in the woods, even though I knew how to do everything else. And so one of the things I was focused on was getting more comfortable with what are the fears about sleeping alone? What are the things I can focus on and sort of overcome? And now I do feel a lot more comfortable with that. So that's just like my example. Um, but I know that when I led the trip to Morocco this year, some people came in with an idea. I have a goal I want to set. I have a thing I've been thinking about that I want to like give myself time and space to think more about. And so, I think everybody's, version of therapeutic adventure might be different. For some people, it's really like, wanting a deeper self-exploration and wanting to set aside time to do those things. Um, and when this is combined with like a somatic awareness, like I mentioned, you can really learn a lot about yourself, your nervous system. And my plan for Cyprus and also what I did in Morocco was to bring a lot of that, like I brought some education about the nervous system into that so that we could really focus on kind of combining the two things. Um, okay, so um I think this slide was supposed to represent, everybody will come to a trip or to adventure therapy with like a different goal. Um, and so, you can come in not knowing which way you want to go, and you might be able to get some clarity. Um, so like if I show you these these images and ask you like, I'm not going to tell you anything about these images except how could these relate to our lives in some way? And I'm curious, just like you don't have to raise your hand, just sort of come off mute and say what you think. How do these images relate to life?
Well, I think of the north, your what your goals are or where you're trying to go with a
Hmm.
compass to make sure you
Yeah,
keep going
absolutely.
straight the same one direction instead of just going in circles.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Not going in circles. Right. So you really honed in on that. Well, there's north and north, like it's a direction, right? It's how do you sort of go where you want to go without going in circles? Yeah. Did I see someone else come off mute there? Did anyone else want to add? Yeah, Ashley.
Yeah, I was just thinking of like the topography of the map and how like life is such an adventure. It has this texture, it has these ups and downs, and like you said, it's about the journey, it's the process more so than
Hmm.
necessarily the goal. Well, it's also great to have, direction too.
Yeah. Sophie, you look like you agree.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was going to say something very similar. So yeah.
Yeah, so thank you all for, oh, Amanda, go for it.
Yeah, I also love seeing the compass, and how like there is a map, but it is, it's like a little challenging to read, and how there's constantly the thing of like, um, we can't memorize the map. We need to have a map. It's a tool, but it's also about learning how to listen to our own inner compass, right? Like it's not about memorizing the map, it's about being aware in the moment and then discerning, which like visually I love with these images, and alive right now what I'm dealing with as the day has already shifted my compass so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, everybody sort of got to a similar place, but we all came at these images just slightly differently. So, adventure therapy uses metaphor a lot. So, like, the sort of map of life idea, the where am I going idea, someone else might have looked at the compass and said, well, this to me is like about my moral compass or my values and how I make decisions, or there's so many ways to look at this. Um, and so what I try to do in my trips and in, the things I present are help people to, who said inner compass? Amanda, was that you? Like really start to listen to the inner compass, and we can sort of blow that metaphor up to, well, we're hiking. And so Amanda, I want to come back to your experience too of getting wet just now. So life
And
on the
it's
map, we're gonna
sunny right now. It's pouring torrential rain.
right. And I think we understand that you weren't prepared for the torrential rain, right? So in life, we're not always prepared for the things that happen to us. Sometimes we get wet, and so sometimes we have to wear clothes we don't want, and sometimes we have to like be late to something that we wanted to go to, or whatever, show up and have to explain ourselves. And so some part of what we can get from therapeutic adventure is when things happen as they always do on a hike, we can say, okay, what did I learn from that? Well, like I learned actually my distress tolerance is better than I thought, or I was able to pivot in a way that was, I could still enjoy the thing, so we can kind of take a deeper look at some of those things. Um, and I know we're coming toward the end. We have a few minutes left. So, okay, disclaimer, this image I found on All Trails. So this is someone who actually, Christopher Clark, on February 7th, actually was on this hike. And this is a hike that we will do or something similar on day 6 of the Cyprus trip. So this is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Smiggy's Trail. Is that right, Ashley?
That's as close as I can get as
Okay.
well. So you're doing
So
good.
I'm trying to give credit to Christopher Clark, even though I don't know him. I grabbed the screenshot of this, but this is, so we coming back full circle to the celebratory, we're at the top. This is one of the views that we might see at Cyprus. So what I want to do in these last couple minutes is do a bit of an imaginal thing. So whoever feels comfortable closing their eyes, you don't have to, you can also like keep your eyes partly open with a soft gaze. But just if you want, close your eyes and imagine, so like even imagine what you're wearing, what clothes you're wearing, your shoes. You're coming to the end of a hike. You're at the summit and you come up, and all of a sudden, you are met with this stunning view. You can see the ocean, you can see mountains in the distance. It's sparkly, it's blue. You might be able to feel like some breeze on your skin. Maybe you're a little sweaty and the sweat is drying and feels kind of tickly when the wind blows. You are hearing nature. Maybe you're hearing the chatter of the other people in the hiking community that you're with. So take a moment and really settle in and imagine yourself here at this summit. Maybe notice what happens in your breathing and in your body right now in this moment as we imagine ourselves at this peak, at this summit, with this stunning view, with all the sounds, with all the sensations. And as you breathe, just notice how that lands for you. Imagine how you might be feeling. Maybe you're even having a feeling in this moment as, just imagining it. You're not even there. Tired muscles, maybe the thrill of success, of feeling good about having accomplished something. And taking maybe two more deep and slow breaths. And then when you're ready, coming back to our space together today and opening your eyes. And it's usually helpful to maybe like look around. You can look around my space or you can look around your space. Maybe taking one more breath. And I'm curious if anybody feels like sharing what came up as, it was so quick, but, in this imaginal experience. And now here we are looking again at this beautiful picture that Christopher took. This may be Lara Bay, I don't know. That seems like one of the things we would see on this hike. What did people notice?
I'm a very literal thinker here, so I'll just say I just want to sit there and enjoy and relax and take in the view.
Yeah.
I feel, yeah, like a felt sense of like a greater exhale and a more expansive breath, and like energy that's flowing, like flowing, like that peak of achievement, and then like it's there, but it's like relaxed.
Yeah.
I felt like pure joy, when you're done with the hike and it's almost like the reward of being up there and feeling, I don't know, but for me, I love working out and feeling like I have sweat and I have like restarted everything, and that feeling of like cold, humidity. I don't know. I find it very refreshing in a way. It's kind of like a joy. So yeah,
Yeah.
happiness, I would say.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I'll just, quickly as we come to the end here, say I had a lot of those same experiences. I had again the energy here, the like, because I have also joy. I can imagine myself there and loving this moment. And Julie, to your point too, to then go, okay, now it's time to relax, take this all in, relax. I imagine that we could have sat down right then and like had a picnic or something, or had a snack of some kind. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you all participating and coming today. And I would be happy to stay on a minute or two. I know this was quick if you have questions or anything, but if not, reach out if you have questions about my next trip. Oh, thank you, Sophie. If you have questions about my next trip, I'm really excited about it. Or just, anything in general, I'd be happy to answer. Ah, I love the hearts. Thank you. Um, so yeah, I'll hang out a minute or two. I think Julie's like, how do I do that? Yeah, there it is. This is also experiential, right? We're like I really take in those hearts. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for coming today and take care.
Thank you.